Hello and welcome back, everybody. We have yet another episode of Kamen Rider Saber here for you guys this week. The one person who continues to watch these, and I really thank you and appreciate you. Anyway, this week we have the full debut of Kamen Rider Sebala or Sebra. There's an ELA at the end of it, and it's I don't know how fully to pronounce that. So I'm just gonna say Sebala for now. Until someone corrects me. Anyway, we are here with episode 25, Clad in Smoke, the Crimson Assassin. So, as for the plot for this episode, it starts off with everyone basically trying to figure out what the hell with Primitive Dragon, especially after last week's rampage. Toma's having, honestly, a really nightmare dream of losing control and attacking all of his friends and potentially killing May, which that's trippy. That we haven't seen stuff like that in a while. The closest thing I can think of is maybe Build with his daymares of the PTSD from killing one of the three crows. Oh god, I love Build references. I'll talk about Build later. Anyway, even though I don't think that was a Build reference. Anyway. Meanwhile, the Swords of Logos are all gathered, and they're basically reiterating their whole get rid of Toma and collect the book stuff from last time they all gathered with all the acolytes and everything. And Rintaro, because he's being torn up on the inside of everything right now, goes and asks Master Logos, is there really a traitor? Which, obviously the dude who's the shadiest person around right now would bemoan this belief and basically try to keep Rintaro's faith. And there's honestly a good moment with Ren here, even though it's a split second, where he thinks back to Rio's words from last week, where he tells him to think for himself, with Ren deciding what he'll do or thinking about what he'll do. He doesn't really decide to do anything because he's only in this scene, but he's thinking, and he didn't mention Kento, which a good plus, although it's kind of funny, all things considering what happens at the end of this episode. Anyway, Reika's given the go-ahead to basically get rid of everyone that's not loyal to the organization, and then she changes her outfit, which, that's honestly different. She changes her outfit, and we find out who has Sophia. She has Sophia, which honestly makes sense considering the fact she's the source from the smoke, and Sophia disappeared in a giant puff of smoke. That makes a lot of sense in hindsight. Anyway, yeah, they have Sophia locked up in, I guess, a back room in the Swords of Logos HQ in the southern base. And it's kind of funny because she goes to ask Sophia about a book that she made, which might be connected to the stuff she gave to May before she disappeared. And then she smacks her in the face. Because, Sophia only asked her, how's everybody? Because, she's worried about her friends. But all she gets is a smack in the face, and was like, I know it was shown to show that Reika's a villain, but we really didn't need that. Reika was already shown as being a nice, cool bitch. We didn't need her smacking Sophia in the face to add extra to it, but it's just kind of funny. At least to me, it's kind of funny. Anyway, an interesting note about Sebala as the term, at least the name, it apparently comes from the Polish word for saber, which is, I can't even pronounce that. And apparently it's also comes from a genus of butterflies, which makes sense considering the fact that she's the insect-themed writer. That is weird considering the fact that, Kamen Rider is often considered the Karate Bugman show, and the only writer that we have in this season who's even connected to bugs in any way is the woman. And not only the woman, but the bad guy right now. She might make a heel turn, or someone might steal the book and the sword, considering the fact that, these things are shown to be interchangeable. Especially what we'll find out at the end of the episode. Yeah. Anyway, on the good guys front, they're still trying to figure out Primitive Dragon. I also forgot to mention that earlier in the episode, at the very beginning of the episode, Toma had a vision of Luna, who was telling him to ease the suffering of someone while looking at Primitive Dragon, which last week we sort of established that there's a spirit inside of Primitive Dragon who's this really sad child. This week confirms that there's a spirit inside the book who's a really sad child, and that leads to some interesting implications. Anyway, Toma and friends trying to figure out the book, and then May's eyeing Rentaro's books because Prince of Dragon snatched up all of Rentaro's books last week, so they have his books, and they're basically debating what to do with them. Well, not debating what to do with them, they're all basically focused on Prince of Dragon. But May decides to snatch up all of Rentaro's books and hand them back to Rentaro, who's just sitting around the city kind of depressed right now because all of his friends and family are leaving him. Like, his family as far as Logos feels distant than ever, feels more distant than ever, and all of his friends as swordsmen are leaving because they basically see that something's up with the organization and really don't want to be around for that shit to go down / trying to stop it. And he just doesn't know what to do because all of his beliefs are being torn apart, which makes sense. Essentially, he's a child soldier. Oh god, I just made this organization like 3 times shadier. Yeah. So, also, Yuri decides to fuck off and visit Tassel yet again to basically try to get some answers for Primitive Dragon, but Tassel only says, hey, look, we sealed it away because we couldn't control it. Which, that's interesting. We really have to figure out what Tassel's deal is at some point in the series, because, there's a lot of questions about Tassel, especially because he decides to fuck off, because he says he has to go meet with a friend, which is like, wait, who are you going to meet with? That's another big question. Probably something we won't get any answers to until close to endgame. Anyway, well, all the mysteries are being raised. Toma and Rentaro meet up on that familiar rooftop, the stage setting place. And then him and Rentaro have a really good, well-acted scene. I honestly do want to give this scene to the actors. It was a really well-done, emotional scene between the two. And then even May gets involved a little bit in it. Rentaro's actor is really good at basically acting like his heart's been ripped out, because, Rentaro's heart has been ripped out in a way. So I do want to applaud the acting in this episode, or at least this scene in it. I mean, I want to applaud the acting in Kamen Rider in general. Like, there's almost always really good acting in Kamen Rider. So I just like, pointing out standout performances like this one here. Anyway, while they're having their big emotional moment, Reika decides to break into Northern Base through the front door because they can do that, because I don't even know if they can lock the door, considering I don't even know how they keep teleporting between the bases in the first place. I know they have those magic book doors, but is there a way to lock it? Because they locked off Daishinjis from entering Southern Base, so is there a way to block off anyone else from entering Northern Base? Because that would probably save your asses. Anyway, Reika breaks in and fights Slash and Buster, and it's a really cool fight, and like every time a writer debuts in this series, it's really cool. I also want to bring a mention to Sabala's henshin, because unlike the other ones, which get the backgrounds where the stuff kind of flies onto them, hers actually takes off her stuff, because like her jacket and stuff flies off in the middle of her transformation. She doesn't really get the same background everyone else does. It might be because she's evil, or at least even Caliber got that, so I don't even know why she doesn't have it. I don't know, maybe because girl. But yeah, her stuff flies off in her transformation, and she transforms into a Kamen Rider Sabala, and I gotta be honest, I really like this suit. It's a really cool suit with the skirt thing that's also really cool in it. I just really like this suit, man. Anyway, Sabala fights, and she just, like every time a new form or power is debuted in the series, it has to whoop ass to sell the toys. And, she proceeds to whoop ass. It's interesting, too, because she apparently can turn into smoke, because at some point in the fight, Slash shoots at her in gun mode, and the shots just pass through her body like smoke. So, she's apparently a Logia user from One Piece. I saw that joke actually on a Facebook group, so I can't take credit for it. Although, I did think that immediately while watching the episode, like, oh, this reminds me of One Piece with the whole, Smoker. That first Luffy Smoker fight. Oh god, it didn't help that I read One Piece earlier today. New chapter of One Piece was excellent, by the way. Like almost every week. Anyway, back to Kamen Rider. It's a really cool fight, shows off the new suit, and Sora overseeing the fight from somewhere. I still don't know how this entire place is set up. Oh, interestingly enough, despite the fact that the computer thing was in the middle of the room when the fight started and she entered, when the fight's on full force, it's moved to the back of the area. Like, I get why it is, so it wouldn't be in the way for the fight scene choreography, but it's still kind of weird to notice that mid-episode. It's like, wait, who pushed this thing back? Did Buster do it before the fight broke out? Can that thing be pushed back? Yeah. So, Sora goes and gets Toma and Rintaro, who's with Toma, and they go to the base, and Reika's basically about to finish whooping on some ass, and, since she orders Rintaro to kill Toma and take his stuff, but Toma basically doesn't want to see his friends hurt and transforms. It's a hilarious effect because, he pulls out Draconic Knight. Everyone's telling him not to transform because, Primitive Dragon's going to snatch him up and force him into that mode. But unlike last week where he started off in one form and the Primitive Dragon teleported in front of him and made him transform into it. Though this week, Primitive Dragon didn't even wait for him to transform into anything else first. As soon as he put Draconic Knight into the belt, it yeeted Draconic Knight out, slapped itself on there, and he transformed without even putting in the dragon book. I forget names right now because that effect was hilarious. Because it's literally like he puts in Draconic Knight, and then Primitive Dragon yeets it out of there. We just see it fly off into the corner. I hope someone picks that up. That Reika, though, she has enough with the sealing the books. I'm getting O's flashbacks of counting the medals. Anyway, Primitive Dragon does what Primitive Dragon does in Rampages. Doesn't even hit Reika. It goes after Rio and Slash for some reason. Maybe because they were the closest by. Anyway, it Rampages, and Rintaro is hesitant because he's holding out King Lion Daisengi, and he's basically hesitant because he doesn't want to hurt Toma, but Toma basically told him to make up his own mind and decide what to do for himself. Earlier on the rooftop scene, when Rintaro asked him, what are you going to do about the rampaging power? Anyway, Caliber teleports in out of nowhere because we didn't need any more people stuffed in this room. Seriously, people 6 feet apart. Topical humor. Anyway, Caliber teleports in and, fights Toma and knocks him out of Primitive Dragon. But Toma also gets a hit in and knocks Caliber out of Caliber. And it's revealed that the new Caliber is, in fact, Kento. So Kento has taken up his father's former role as Comrade Caliber and also is not dead. So are we going to make Laser Turbo jokes now or after next week's episode where we have a formal introduction to all of this? And that's where the episode ends. Yeah, it just kind of ends like that with just, Kento's alive. Oh, God. So, things I liked. I really liked the debut of Sabala. It was a really cool fight with her and just her showing off what she can do with all her insect-themed powers. Although she used some kind of spider leg thing for a finisher at one point, and spiders aren't insects, they're arachnids, but semantics, it's basically all bugs for her. And she did a really cool butterfly wing backflip thing, which was honestly pretty cool to see. Anyway, I like Sabala. I kind of want her to do more fights. And the fact that she's literally called the assassin makes a lot of sense considering what she does and how she's acted up into the show so far. She's always had this air of something sketchy going on about her. But it makes sense. She's literally the person that the organization sends to kill people. And what's she doing now? Trying to kill people. She's basically the murder hornet. I didn't even mean to make that joke. She's a murder hornet. Oh, God. That makes way too much sense. Yeah, she's basically the cleaner. The one who would go out and kill people who weren't exactly following the Swords of Logos' or more specifically, Master Logos' edicts. In this case, that's Toma and everyone else right now. Although Master Logos seems to want Toma to have Primitive Dragon, as he seems to want Toma to gain power for some reason we don't know. Again, the shadiest person in the series continues to be the dude sitting on the fucking throne. Although I honestly doubt he would be the final boss, just because for some reason. At least I want to doubt he'll be the final boss. I'd rather not go through that twist again. Anyway, a lot of questions, not really many answers. Zabala having a cool debut, and next week we're going to get into the whole Kento Caliber thing, which, yay, thank you. Don't leave this for like 2 episodes and then get back to it later. Actually go straight into it. Although I do think we're going to get more of Toma's actor screaming the fuck out of himself again. Like, dear God, how many episodes has this dude just screamed his lungs off? And I was like, someone get this man a lozenge. I mean, I don't hate it. Although his screaming voice is somewhat annoying, but I don't hate it considering the goings on and all the stuff. He's acting really well, basically. I just really hope they're giving this man a lozenge before he just tears out his vocal cords with all this screaming. Also, no Megado this week at all. Like, not even cut to the Megado to see what they're doing about Primitive Dragon. They don't even get a mention. It's all about the swordsman right now, which is interesting because it's giving me some vibes of how this series ending could be. So I kind of hope the Megado will come back next week, because next week also gives Heavy not dealing with the Megado vibes. But yeah, overall, the episode in general was pretty good. I liked Sabala. The Kento reveal as Caliber was pretty cool. Rintaro's acting was on point, and his whole character arc is still going strong. Ren didn't do shit, which is always good. I mean, he had a slight moment, and he didn't mention Kento, so it didn't ruin the moment. But still, they need to explain what his obsession with Kento is. Like, are they like brothers? Is he in love with them? Considering the Zio movie that just happened, or the Zio special that just happened, if he's in love with them, I wouldn't doubt it. Oh God, it just started a shipping field, didn't I? Anyway, yeah. Overall, fine episode. Probably needed a few less cutbacks from the fight to make the story of the fight flow a bit better. But outside of that, yeah. It was a cool episode. I'm honestly more looking forward to next week, because this series has done something interesting. Like, it keeps one-upping itself on the episode cliffhangers for next week's episode. Like the end of last week, we're getting some hints at a new writer. This week's episode, we get Caliber showing up at the end, and it's Kento, and I'll give them an award. They didn't spoil the Caliber thing at the end of the episode again. Although they did also spoil that we'd be seeing Caliber at the end of this episode, which I'm like, God damn it, guys, you were so close. But, I mean, it's effective. It's keeping me to go, and I'm not hating the show. So, yeah, just maybe not spoil stuff so early on in the preview for the next week's episode. I don't know what I was meaning to say with that. Anyway, fine episode. Looking forward to next week's even more. And look forward to hearing Toma's actor scream his voice out yet again. Because apparently the show's going to keep making him do that. And I really want them to... I really hope this guy's getting a lozenge, because I'm pretty sure he's not getting much of a paycheck for this, considering Toei's practices and all. And yeah. Until next time, everybody. Also, I'm not doing Sentai episodes just because there's a new Sentai season out. I'm still debating if I'm actually going to watch that show or not, because it's giving me a lot of Idiot Sentai Red vibes, and I hate me some Idiot Sentai Reds. So I just wanted to get that in case anyone was going to ask that in the comments, even though I've only offhandedly mentioned Sentai in these episodes so far. I just want to get that out there. Until next time, everybody, for real this time, I'm closing out the episode.